Hello friends, this is Cold Run. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. You might notice by the trees and the lack of a planet that we are not on the moon anymore. We're back in Garlemald. And the reason is because after the whirlwind of the last couple of sessions, I wanted to take a break for a second to see if I can use my newfound ability to fly to actually find some new sightseeing points back here, because I do want to keep those cleared out as they become available, and I'm assuming that they should all be available at this point. Also, I got a card. I didn't actually check it out yet, but I noticed that I got an anima card. And so let me actually, I collected it already, but let me actually check it out. Here we are. Anima. 95199. So, oh, that's nice. I don't have a lot of ones that have strong left and bottom ones numbers. Anyway, a primal housed within the Tower of Babel, Anima was brought forth with the corpse of Varus Zos Galvus, and granted its unearthly power through the patriotism and fervor of the Empire's citizens. It sat at the center of the Telopheroi's web, siphoning rivers of ether through the spires built in every far-flung corner of the world. Yeah. Yep. And that was all to and so my understanding of that right now, just in hindsight, is that all of that was not to teleport them to the moon as I had thought, or as I thought might be the case, but to break the that was all to break the barriers on Zodiark. And so now the purpose of those towers is like done. Mission accomplished for them, for Fandaniel anyway. For Fandaniel and Zodiark and Xenos, at least for that initial plan. They did it. They succeeded. So here's the first sightseeing point that I noticed during that flyover quest, I think. Sinoculum Imperialis. Here we are, Sinoculum Imperialis. Once the center of government for the Republic of Garlemald, this stately building would later house the Emperor's Advisory Council. Within its walls, countless campaigns were planned and executed. Decisions that... Was there supposed to be a comma there? Within its walls, countless campaigns were planned and executed... I'll just assume there's a comma. Countless campaigns were planned and executed. Decisions that would result in untold bloodshed and bring ever greater prosperity to the Empire. No, I feel like I'm misreading that. But I get the gist of it, whatever the grammar is supposed to be. Okay. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, this is something I doubt I would have been able to get to without flying. Uterna Platform G. This mining platform is designed to pump vast quantities of ceruleum-rich water from the icy depths of Cerulia and Gens. 6 more rigs were built within the region for the same purpose, but the eruption of civil war brought all operations to a standstill. Yeah, so this was one of many in the area. Oh, here's another one. I was looking at my strategy for these, by the way, for hunting down the lookout points is they seem to be centered on the red dots on the map. Not all of them, but at least some of them. They seem to be like on or around them. So this one is going to be either for the runaway train or the liminal station, the train station maybe. Yeah, the runaway train. A mark. Oh God. So 49? I think that's 49. I think L is 50. D is 500, L is 50. I get those two mixed up, I think. A Mark 49 passenger train was forced off the tracks by tempered soldiers as it attempted to flee the capital. Its twisted bulk left to rust in the ice and snow. Only nobles, high-ranking officers, or citizens with special dispensation were permitted to ride this exclusive service. Yes, they were the ones that got hit at that point. Usually, I think they were, for the most part, better insulated from the chaos than people who are not nobles or high-ranking, but I think that's probably at the margins. I think everyone was hit pretty hard. Also interesting that this train was not just like a general public service or public transit. It was reserved for the elites. Alright, so I've spent what feels like a pretty reasonable amount of time, more than I probably should have, looking for this last lookout point. My search has been centered around the Enceladium or Palatium Novum, and I have not found it there, so I'm just going to look it up. Oh, I feel a little bit silly that I missed this. Well, not that silly. So it was here. I had to look up the coordinates, basically. It was for Regio Urbanissima, and yeah, it was near... It was the only one in this area that wasn't really by a red dot. Okay. Regio Urbanissima. Here did beat the heart of the empire, a district pulsing with political, financial, and military authority. Yet these institutions, which once sought dominion over the world, now lie in ruins. Any structure not outright destroyed in the War of Succession has been torn apart, its materials cannibalized for the construction of the Tower of Babel. So this was not... This is... The Tower of Babel, then, is not just... Because I wasn't sure. It looks like it has an imperial base to it. Yeah, it looks like it does have an imperial base to it. I think it probably was like the Royal Palace, but it was definitely added on to, that means, to make it what it is, which makes sense because you're making a whole new thing to break the barrier of Zodiark. Okay, good to know. That's the last sightseeing log here. What is this sound? Sorry, some context. So I'm on the moon. I was trying to get to this fade over here, called the Strolling Stones. And it's really hard to navigate this place, but there's the cave under here that gets me through has this weird sound coming out of it. I just don't... Everything here feels alien. It's the moon. Of course it should feel alien, but it's still incredibly well done. Oh shit, can I not get across? This might be a place I better navigate once I come back to once I have flying. We've arrived. The fate is the Strolling Stones. Sentient and incredibly violent regoliths have wandered over from the far side of the moon and are attempting to make Mare Lamentorum their new home. For the sake of its current inhabitants, who I don't really know if they're... I guess we're watching out for, like, the lunar saber tenders. For the sake of its current inhabitants, it is best to send these craggy creatures back whence they came. Okay. These are... Again, even these are like a different model. These aren't just regular Earth Elemental models. They look smoother in some ways. Everything about the moon I'm a fan of. So I'm just about to pick up the next main story quest, and I noticed the planet looks a little bit different. I did not notice this before. It looks like shrouded in darkness. So that's not great. Anyway, I was just thinking, there was something I was thinking about on the way over here. The whole Xenos and... There's just, I don't think there's any meaning to it, but Xenos and Asahi, their bodies have had two very similar but very different relationships in a very short span of time. Back in Stormblood, you had Xenos as... You had Elidibus in Xenos' body and Asahi in Asahi's body as with one relationship. And then they're right back together with Xenos as Xenos this time. But Asahi's been replaced with Fandaniel, or with Amon. That's just I don't think there's anything to it. I don't think there's any like deeper meaning to it. Just neat that those two characters have had this weirdly similar but different relationships with different people inhabiting each body. Anyway, the Watcher. In Shadow's wake, the Watcher would discuss grave matters with you. Before we speak at length, I believe a change of surrounds is in order. I have more than ill tidings to share, you see. I sensed others arriving not long ago. Really? Oh shit, what if the other Scions came here? What if they were able to take care of the Berserk? It cracks me up, I have to look up, my little Olafest to look up at this ancient. What if they were able to take care of the Berserk tempered Garleans, and because shit went south, you know, see the Earth behind us, or the planet behind us, maybe they're coming to join us? Though my communions with Hydaelyn have grown infrequent, I have learned enough from her to know that these are your comrades. Yep. And as luck would have it, they have already reached my abode. Come, let us join them. Nice. We weren't separated for that long, but boy, do we have some stories to tell them. Yeah, that whole Zodiark thing. Yeah, Zodiark's dead, and we probably, and it's probably not a good thing. Hey, there's our team. Or at least some of our team. We're the twins. Thancred. Dare I ask what happened before we arrived? You daren't. Urianger. May we presume this being is a native of the moon? No, you may not presume that. I don't think it's a native of the moon, but maybe it's, I mean, it's been here long enough that maybe it's considered a native. Y'shtola. Thank goodness you are unharmed. We did what we could to subdue the temper before making our way here. Not without casualties, unfortunately. Some few detonated explosives, killing themselves and others. So, yeah, that's... Oh my god. Okay, that must have been chaotic. The contingent's healers had their hands full tending to the injured and enthralled when we took our leave. Urianger, lest you wonder, Mistress Kryl hath also been delivered unto their care. Serving as a conduit for Hydaelyn's power hath taken its toll, but she will recover in due course. Y'shtola, as for Alphino and Alisaie, they insisted on remaining in Garlemald while we three rushed to your aid. It appears, however, that matters here have already come to a conclusion. They have not. I mean, some matters have, others have very much not. Y'shtola, but what manner of conclusion, if I might ask? And is this the ally whom Hydaelyn bade you seek out? He is not unlike the shades of Amarot. Yeah, I think it is. The Watcher. Not unlike, but not the same. I was created by Hydaelyn together with this place. So I guess he is a native of the moon. I guess they are. I don't know the gender, so I guess they are a native of the moon. Wow, okay. It has ever been my duty to keep vigil over Zodiark, or rather it was my duty. Yeah, what are you going to do now? You're out of a job, friend. Yes, we just related the whole story. Y'shtola. Then Zodiark is no more? Yeah. Mindfuck, right? The Watcher. And not without consequence, I am afraid, for now the delicate weave of the star preserved by his presence will begin to unravel. That's what... I was talking last time about how I didn't know how permanent the trades made by Zodiark were. How permanent and tied... Because I thought there was... My hope was that it was the kind of situation where he put the star back together and then the star's back together. Like, if a mechanic puts your car back together and then the mechanic passes away, like, your car doesn't go with it. Like, he already did the thing. He already saved your car. But it sounds like that's not the case here. It sounds like part of the way Zodiark preserved things in the wake of whatever that calamity that befell Amarot and that whole ancient civilization was maintained by his presence. Okay. If you mean to avert the final days, you shall have need of... Oh, shit. Thancred, are you all right? No. The Watcher. My attempts to forestall Zodiark's release have all but exhausted my strength. If you might allow me to rest a short while, I will share with you all I can. Absolutely. Take all the time you need, Watcher. Uatu. I think that was the Marvel Watcher name, or one of them anyway. Y'shtola, please do. You need not exert yourself on our account. These crystals contain records of your time here, yes? May we peruse them while we wait? Oh, the world's best library. Watcher, by all means, if you would review them chronologically, might I suggest beginning with those on the upper floor? I mean, wow, this is this has got to be... Hydaelyn must have made this place like immediately after Zodiark was imprisoned, so this has to stretch back to the beginning of the Ascians. Y'shtola, I shall leave that to you, Kakusha, while I see what can be gleaned from the crystals on these lower levels. Oh boy. I wonder if the Watcher... I think the Watcher is just its own being. It's not one of the ancient ones, because, again, they said that they were created for the purpose of this place. Pillar of Industry, Merchant and Mender. What? Oh my god, it's a literal pillar of industry. That's actually hilarious. That's great. Okay. Watcher, what do you have to say? A moment longer, friend. No worries. No rush. Y'shtola. Pray review the records on the upper floor, and I will see if there is aught to be learned down here. Where was Thancred? Thancred's probably up top. And I'm guessing, yeah, the twins are, and everyone else are probably down on the planet still. Thancred. Zodiark defeated. While he may have been in an incomplete state, that's nevertheless an impressive feat. Yeah, that was a really fun trial. But even if you hadn't, his demise was inevitable. Fandaniel would have seen to it one way or another. I agree with that. I very much, and he even said as much. That said, he probably would have wielded Zodiark's power to wreak untold destruction before taking his own life, making this the better of two unfavorable outcomes. I agree with that as well. He even said that his only regret was that we outlived him. He was hoping he would beat us and then, you know, die. Urianger, dost thou suppose our host hath maintained his solitary vigil since the very beginning without rest or relief? I do suppose that, I doth. If so, these records comprise the sum total of his existence. We must needs handle them with care. Yeah, no spilling coffee on the crystals. Alright, wind up Shiva. What are we doing here? We're looking at dimly glowing crystal. As you gaze into the crystal, ancient knowledge of Zodiark flows through your mind. Daily summary. No abnormalities detected. Daily summary. Yeah, so it keeps going on like that. These appear to be records of a long, lonely vigil on the moon, dating back to the beginning of Zodiark's imprisonment. Oh. I know that being a lighthouse keeper can be a romantic life, but when it goes on for eternity, that's not so appealing. Faintly glowing crystal. As you gaze into the crystal, okay. The records describe how with each rejoining, Zodiark's thirst for freedom grew, as did the strain on the brands. Maintaining Zodiark's imprisonment appears to tax Hydaelyn greatly. So Hydaelyn's going to get a second wind at this point, because she'll no longer have to hold Zodiark down. Maybe that's a good thing, but it really could go either way. In fact, I'm leaning towards it being a bad thing. I don't know how yet, but I think it'll be a bad thing. Why can't I not see the target? What? Oh, I had to literally have it in my view. In my screen. Oh wait, what was that? As you gaze into the crystal, knowledge of past rejoinings flows through your mind. The records describe the Watcher's effort to prepare in the event Zodiark broke free from his prison. The records go on to describe maintenance carried out regularly with the Loporites, though it's not clear who or what they are. The Loporites. Are the Loporites the bunnies? Oh, I hope the Loporites are the Naming Way bunnies. Brightly glowing crystal. As you gaze into the crystal, a record of an unexpected visitor flows through your mind. Is this going to be Elidibus? Yeah. The records note the Watcher's musings when Elidibus is spotted on the moon, though clearly not for the first time. It is clear, crystalline memories, it is clear he and his brethren have a keen interest in freeing Zodiark from his prison, and yet they have made no attempt to destroy the brands. Perhaps they prefer he remains hidden from mortal eyes until the final rejoining. Yeah, that was their goal. They didn't want... They had no value, they had no... It's funny, because the early parts of the game, I seem to remember Laha Brea talking about, we shall awaken our god. But, like, that wasn't their... That was a very long-term plan. They did... If they were given a button to push that would just awaken Zodiark, I don't think they would have pushed it before the final rejoining. Perhaps they realize we would never dare bring harm to Zodiark so long as he remains imprisoned. I was going to say the Watcher should have then told us about that risk, but I don't think he knew we were going to just... I don't think they knew we were going to just kill Zodiark. And we couldn't have stopped it. Y'shtola. Did you learn anything of import? I did. All kinds of cool stuff. So it is as we suspected. Maintaining the brands requires a great deal of her energy and focus, and this cost has grown higher with every rejoining. That would explain why contact with her has become rather infrequent since the 7th Umbral Calamity. I too made a rather startling discovery. Oh, what'd you find? This heavenly body we know to be the moon was in fact created by Hydaelyn. Yeah, that... I don't think we knew that before, but it kind of makes sense. I don't think... It makes more... That makes more sense than that she took the existing moon and hollowed it out and just was like, nope, we're popping you in here. When the Watcher said he was created together with this place, I thought he only meant this facility. Truly, Hydaelyn's powers are far beyond anything I could have imagined. And Hydaelyn's never been sundered, right? Because we know Zodiark was split into pieces. Was Hydaelyn split too? This is one of my favorite parts about doing this as a Let's Play rather than just playing by myself, because I love this piano. Because there's all these things which I remember in passing or only heard a little bit, and I don't remember, and all of you remember that sort of stuff so much better. Right, the Watcher. I thank you for affording me this short reprieve. Because even if I don't want spoilers or hints or tips or anything like that, I still do see it as a Let's Play. As kind of... Like when I watch someone do a Let's Play, an Unspoiled Let's Play, even if I'm not the one playing, it sort of feels like a joint experience, even if I'm not giving them tips.
It is we who should thank you. The records stored here are nothing short of extraordinary.
Yeah, nice job keeping your diary.
There is much we could learn of Zodiark and his imprisonment. But perhaps you could offer us more focused guidance. Pray, tell us of the calamity that came before, and comes now again.
They're really going to tell us. They're just going to tell us, aren't they? Long ago, before the Great Sundering, there was but a single world, Etheirys. Etheirys. I guess that's pieces of Etheirys are ether? That's got to be the same root. There was the first beast. One day, from within the earth, a terrible cry issued forth, affecting a profound change in all manner of life. And that was when the creation magic started to turn against them, when their fears began to manifest. The first beast is still one of the coolest enemy designs the game has had. A satanic caterpillar. We were not exempt. Our creation magics ran rampant, giving shape and form to thoughts of hopelessness and despair. We were not exempt. So the Watcher wasn't created with the moon? The Watcher was one of the ancients who lived in that time? Unless they're talking about we as a civilization, and I'm technically part of that civilization, even if I was never there. At first, the phenomenon was limited to a single region, but quickly, so very quickly, It spread and engulfed the whole of the star.
Were the ancients ever able to deduce its source?
They were not, yeah. However, the convocation struck upon a method to predict where next the corruption would manifest. Again, I don't know if this is lived experience of the Watcher, or if this is just from records and knowledge imparted by Hydaelyn. And if it is knowledge imparted by Hydaelyn, is it trustworthy? Probably. The Crystal Exarch did it better. The etheric energies which flow through all of creation in the form of various currents. Currents which course through the land and seas. This is the wind, and those which flow through the very air. Water, ice? And those of a celestial nature. Oh no, not water and ice. Those of a celestial nature which encompass both our star and this moon. A celestial nature. So the first is like earth, fire, wind, and water, and this is mana? I don't know.
Celestial currents. I cannot say I am familiar with the concept.
Yeah, good. It's not just me. The Watcher. Nor would I expect you to be. Few scholars of our time knew of their existence. Their invaluable knowledge helped us to better understand the nature of the calamity. Like the terrestrial ones of earth and air, the celestial currents form a vast network, but the ethereal distribution is not consistent. The convocation soon realized that the inciting... Wait, it's not consistent. What does that mean? The convocation soon realized that the inciting incidents occurred in regions where the flow was weakest. Ah! So earth and air and all that, all those ethereal currents were kind of everywhere pretty evenly. But the celestial current is somewhere else. The celestial current is strong in some places and weak in others, and the weak places is where the calamity started. Or where the, what did they call it? The inciting incident. Correlation without clear cause, ultimately. Nevertheless, in closer study, a stagnancy of ether was observed in nearby currents. Interesting, because that's what heralds a calamity on our worlds too.
And so they sought a means to harness the forces of darkness, of activity and growth. Thus was Zodiark conceived.
Right, so they were trying to, right, because light and stasis are together, darkness and activity and growth are together. That's what we learned in Shadowbringers. And because stasis, and because the weakness was due to periods of stasis, that's why they harnessed darkness. Which makes sense. 100% makes sense.
No less a power than a god's could set right the laws of nature and quicken the flow of ether within the star.
And now the ether's flow is slowing again because Zodiark is gone. So does this mean Hydaelyn's going to go into overdrive? Because there's another possibility, which is that Hydaelyn might just disappear because Zodiark was constructed in opposition to Zodiark, and if she's relying on Zodiark, but no, I don't think her summoning was reliant on Zodiark, other than like a cause and effect, other than like he's the reason they summoned her. It's not like, I think they could have summoned Hydaelyn even without Zodiark. Summoning her was not a prerequisite. The Watcher, precisely. With the advent of Zodiark, our end was averted.
Emmett Selk claimed that those who summoned Hydaelyn did so because they saw Zodiark's power as a threat. Is that true?
Indeed, there was a faction opposed to Zodiark's creation, but their aim was never to unmake him. really. I guess they knew what would happen if they tried to unmake him. Yeah, there's no reason they would try to unmake him. I mean, they saw how horrifying things were before Zodiark. I don't think opposition to Zodiark came about... Did it? No, I was going to say, I don't think the opposition to Zodiark came about until after a few rounds of sacrifice. After they'd reached a certain point. Because Elidibus, when Elidibus died, when we beat him in 5.3, he said something like, when he was describing his time as the Heart, he was saying, you know, everyone all of a sudden was divided now on the future of this star and what they should take. Usually such disagreements and schisms were short-lived, but not this time. And so as a result, I withdrew myself from Zodiark as his heart and took the role of Elidibus to help bring peace, I guess, to help. But whatever it was, like he did that after that conflict came about after Zodiark was already summoned. It's not like some people were saying, no, don't summon Zodiark in the first place. Or at least not a strong contingent. The Watcher. They understood the continued preservation of natural order was dependent on his very existence. Until we could identify and address the underlying cause of the final days, he would need remain, for his departure would set in motion those apocalyptic forces once more. Yep. Hydaelyn recognized this as well, and so, rather than destroy, she sundered Zodiark, herself and the star into lesser reflections, that she might confine him in this place. She sundered Zodiark herself, so she did sunder herself too, and the star into lesser reflections that she might confine him in this place. So why did she sunder herself too then? What was the value of sundering herself? I could have sworn she beseeched me to banish the darkness. Uh-oh. Then what she told me in the ethereal sea was false. I actually don't remember what she told me. I guess she told me to banish the darkness. I could have sworn she beseeched me to banish the darkness. I'll have to check back at the video. Unless he's talking at the very beginning. Perhaps she did, but as with all beings, intent is not always in accord with spoken word. Does that mean I misunderstood, or that she's deceiving me? Hydaelyn and Zodiark are both constructs of man, approximations of perfection limited by our own imperfections. Zodiark was, without question, the more powerful of the two, having been born from the sacrifice of half Etheirys' population. Then how did Hydaelyn win? Thus it was necessary for Hydaelyn to commit herself wholly to his defeat. Still more effort was needed to confine him. So she just wanted it more. She was like the football team that was the underdog but got the inspirational halftime speech. Maintaining the brands taxed her greatly. With what power she dared spare, she cried out to any who might listen, and offered her blessing to those who heeded her call. Though it was likely within her power to do so, I believe she did not wish to speak of Etheirys and her history. I'm thinking of Emmett Selk saying, like, your mother would likely have a different tale, as is her wont, or whatever his words were at that time, in the Katana Ravel. Like Zodiark, Hydaelyn's purpose is a reflection of her creators. They wished to look to the future and not linger in a prison of the past. They wish to look to the future and not linger in a prison of the past. So Hydaelyn, it wasn't deception, or it wasn't like mwa-ha-ha, I shall deceive them sort of deception. It was almost like denial.
The Ascians set in
don't
motion
know.
7 rejoinings before
We'll see.
we came to oppose them. How many more worlds would have been lost had we not placed our faith in her? How many more souls living in the present would have been snuffed out for the sake of those long dead?
Billions? Billions, I'm guessing.
Well, in light of recent events, I
Millions,
see no
at
reason
least.
to doubt your words. And even if Hydaelyn is not a god in truth, if Minfilia believed that we should trust in her plans, then I choose to do just that.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to follow you on this one. I don't think Hydaelyn is... I'm not on Team Hydaelyn is evil, but boy, am I skeptical of her, of where what she's going to be and what her nature will be without just being Zodiark's prisoner. Jailer, rather.
Which brings me to a rather important
prisoner.
question. Let's suppose we try but fail to stop this second coming of the final days. Should the source fall, what will become of the other worlds?
I mean, I think you probably know what's coming. Watcher, the nomenclature is more fitting than you know. Bring ruin to the source, and its reflections will share in its fate. Yeah. Again, not unexpected. Not unexpected, but this is unexpected. We got a little moonquake. Ah, it is ready. Are you giving me the big whale? I don't think you're giving me the big whale, because we can just teleport. This way, if you would be so kind. The big... And I don't mean to keep making Final Fantasy IV inside baseball quotes, but yeah, the big whale was the name of the spaceship that you got to travel between the moon and Earth. A beautiful sight, is it not? Also, the Earth is looking much more red now, unless it's just... No, never mind. It's still just dark. I keep calling it the Earth. What should I call it? Should I just call it Hydaelyn? That feels weird. The planet. But I think that red is not on the planet itself. I think that's just from this red ethereal smoke that's on the moon. It really is quite beautiful.
But what is it?
Is that the Crystal Palace? What was the... Hydaelyn knew better... Oh, but the Watcher. Hydaelyn knew better than any that her power was not absolute. Indeed, she has ever struggled to hold Zodiark and his faithful at bay. So is this like a fortress where we'll be able to hold up? She feared the worst, and so made preparations in the event of his demise. There would be a contingency. This moon is more than a prison. It is a vessel capable of bearing the people of Etheirys to safe harbor. Again, this is a very Final Fantasy IV concept. You need not go far to find its pilots. In fact, I should be happy to take you to them. Please say they have bunny ears. Again, my Final Fantasy IV specific memories are very shoddy, but I remember that the moon was like the Lunarian's vessel traveling through the cosmos. And then there was the after years where there was another vessel, the True Moon. It got a little bit weird. And fulfill my final duty as Watcher in the Dark. No, you can find a new purpose. Take up macrame or something. Again, Crystal Palace, just thinking, is it the Crystal Palace? I think, wasn't the Crystal Palace the name of that big crystal tower on the moon in 4? Phrygian weapon coffer. And Greek themes are continuing. From Zodiark's abilities, as Azomagia mentioned, to everything in Charlian. Anyway, that's going to be it for me for now. Thank you for watching. Next time, God, there's no ugly shots in this game, in this expansion. There are certainly ugly shots in this game, and I've been to that poison dungeon with the gold dust, whose name I can't remember. That sucks with all the Marlboros. But look at this thing. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.